Molweni everybody, my name is Khanya Mkoto and I am the founder and director of the Young Catalyst. And with me, I have an amazing panel of young leaders. I'll start on my left. I have Farai Mubaiwa, who is the co-founder and director of the, Africa Matters, changing the African narrative. And then I have Camagwini right next to me, Camagwini Mavovana, who is a producer for one of the powerful radio stations in the country. And then I have Dr. Shakira Choonara, who is a PhD graduate, in public health. And then also she was the Destiny Power 40 winner last year. And then I have right there at the end this gentleman who speaks so well, who is a multimedia expert, Godfrey Matebane. So I want to start with the fact that we have so many issues in the country, right? We go on social media, we have all these amazing hashtags which bring so much light to the issues that we are actually facing. But I want to know, do you guys feel that's enough in terms of living out our activism? And how do we start, because I honestly feel like it isn't, how do we start to actually stand up to injustice when it's in our face? Whether it's racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's homophobia. I've actually seen Farai do it so well. Specifically when it comes to homophobia, she is such a marvelous individual when it comes to standing up to injustice, no matter who is in the room. But I want to know, do you guys think it's enough? What should we be doing when it comes to real activism in the country and actually making these changes that we've been talking about, like unemployment, suicide, mental health? What do you guys think?
So to be a keyboard warrior is not enough.
Yeah.
Everyone can be a keyboard warrior because you've got the defense of a computer. So while you're woke and you're participating in the woke Olympics, which I think is also quite destructive, you're making some changes, but it's not tangible change,
Yeah.
And I think that, it has to be two things. Firstly, we need to recognize that activism is an everyday choice.
Yeah.
Some people will wake up and be like, you know what, today I'm going to be an activist for race. Tomorrow I'll be an activist for gender. But you must live that decision every single day.
Absolutely.
So it's this, and you can't self-select which issue is more important. The second thing is that all these issues we talk about, unemployment, education, race, sexuality, gender, everything is intersectional. So I don't believe in people that say, I'll stand up for black people, but I won't stand up for gay people. Because it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
All of these oppressions are continuously interlinked. Yeah. And I think the last thing is that we need to, as I mentioned before, we need to wake up every day and not be allies. I hate the term allies. I think allies are ineffective.
Yeah.
I've known many allies that have stood with me in gender-based violence protests, and then 2 weeks later, they're being accused of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
I think you need to be an accomplice.
Absolutely.
An accomplice makes a decision every day to say, you know what, I'm going to stand up for X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to display that in my actions. So if I'm at work and a colleague is being racist, I'm going to call them out.
Yeah.
If I'm at a club and the bouncer is being homophobic, I'm going to deal with that. If I'm talking about unemployment, I'm going to find a way to make that change, even if it means, we all sit here in very privileged positions. What we could actively do to tackle unemployment is to get a few young people and to mentor them with skills and tools, write recommendations, CVs, provide that guidance. But I think we have to be accomplices. We can't be allies.
Absolutely.
I think this is such a powerful question because of what's happening in the country right now, especially with the Adam conversation. But yesterday, my presenter called me out and he said, you can't be woke on Twitter but have an all-male panel in the studio speaking about a particular issue. And he called me out on it, and I actually realized that I'm actually not being an activist.
Yeah.
Being an activist means that I have to act out things that I believe in. And I think that this question is also important, especially with the whole Nomzama issue that happened last month.
Yeah.
Was it this month?
Was
it this month? Where
Women's Month.
Nomzama
August,
Mbata was the cover girl for Cosmopolitan's first activism issue.
Yeah.
And people were like, she's not an activist. What has she done to prove that she's an activist? And she had to then list all these things that she's done, and I thought that was unnecessary. But I think that being an activist means acting out what you believe in every single day.
Absolutely.
And that requires action. It means that if I believe that fees must fall, I am going to be at the front lines, that I am going to put my life and my education on the line, face expulsion, face being going to jail, and I'm going to fight for what I believe in.
Yeah.
It means that I am willing to go and protest against the RU reference list. I am willing to take my shirt off and show my entire body to policemen who are trying to exert some kind of harm me in some way, just to stop them. It means standing at the front line and putting your life on the line, which is what I think Fees Must Fall students did, because most of them, or some of them, have been expelled, some of them have been jailed. A lot of women from Rhodes University have also been expelled, and they've been, their names are all over social media, and they can't even get a qualification because of what happened. And I think that you can't be an activist if you're not willing to take what's that word? The not the challenges, that come with it. The
risk.
The risk. Thank you so much. The risk that comes with it. But I think that it's acting out. And just to stress what Farai said, you can't just choose to be active in one thing and not to be active in another, which is what I think a lot of men do in South Africa. Men are just sorry, but just with the Adam issue, guys, did you see how black men were so enraged, how angry they were, how they found addresses, how they were willing to risk their lives to just make sure that this guy went down. And it angers me that we can be passionate about one thing, but we can't be passionate when a woman like Kantani dies. We can't be passionate when someone in the Eastern Cape is raped and we know who raped this person, but we're going to choose to go protect him and go to the court to protect this person because I don't believe he did it, he's my friend, he's my brother. Activism means you can't be selective in what you are active in. And we really, black men, need to really start standing up for us as women, for people in the LGBT space, and I think that they have a lot of work to do. But that's my bit.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is that there's really no activism without a form of uncomfortability and putting yourself out there. If you're not willing to put yourself out there and really risk it all, then you can't really call yourself an activist. And with that Nomzamo issue, I mean, there's a lot of things that she's actually doing that we know nothing about. She's actually living out her activism. I mean, I don't want to even list them myself, but it really is a thing where you put yourself aside and you stop worrying about how you're going to be perceived and how people are going to take what you're saying, but really stand up to patriarchy. Even if it means you're going to be demoted potentially at your job.
I think that even with the social media activism, when Farai was saying, guys, you can't just be a keyboard activist. I'm thinking about the situation, I think was it 4 or 5 years ago, when I think about 100 girls were kidnapped in Nigeria.
Yes.
Now that story is particularly important because I remember Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, people around the world holding placards, bring back our girls. Guys, I read an article last week saying, now another girl has been rescued. I'm like, 5 years later, another girl is being rescued.
It's ridiculous.
5 years later, she had to leave her kids because most of them got pregnant and now they've had to leave their kids behind. But Michelle and Barack Obama held placards saying, bring back our girls. That's not enough.
That's not
what
enough.
are you doing? Are you taking your own army? Are you risking their own lives to go and help out those kids? No, you're not. Keyboard activism does not work, guys, and we need to really just stop that. Really, really.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that, I love your lipstick just because it's a young, cool discussion.
Come on, come on.
And also, I won't touch on the Adam issue. I think it's been spoken about a lot. I also can't say his surname, so I notice how we all are calling him Adam. Jokes aside, I think, I'm not going to pretend to have figured it all out in life, because I think as you get older, you start to reflect a lot more, and tomorrow's my birthday, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday for tomorrow.
Completely irrelevant, but I feel like as I've gotten older, you start to ask yourself the question of what is your purpose?
Yeah.
How did I get into healthcare? And I don't want to repeat the story because my family is like, not again. But going to Baragwana, seeing what Baragwana was like at first hand growing up, would make me go home at night and cry, to be honest. And today when I pick up the newspaper and I still see the articles that Esedimeni happened. When I watched Carte Blanche a few weeks ago, the showers in the hospital are disgusting.
Yeah.
Right? Who would want to get sick? I'd rather die at home. So one of the patients actually said that. And so that brought me to, I don't know if I've got all the solutions, but I think activism is about trying to come back to what's important. So giving the example of the healthcare system, we've all gone off in our tangent. We do research, we do advocacy, we have Discovery Health, we have a whole bunch of stakeholders. And it's not just government that has failed us.
Yeah.
It is every single person in the health system has failed the patients.
Sure.
Because we have forgotten that everything that we do is not about the next journal publication.
Yeah.
It's not about our next salary. It's about that patient on the ground. So I think finding purpose is very important. So even though I like your lipstick, Ini, I'm going to disagree with you and play devil's advocate. And I think, Godfrey, you may enjoy this, right? I think that social media is the most powerful tool on the planet at the moment.
Yeah.
Through social media, I've met policymakers. I've literally, when I go for conferences, pop them a message and say, can I meet you? And they actually meet you.
Yeah.
I've fostered a connection with the Director General of the World Health Organization through Twitter. So for me, activism has different levels.
Yeah.
You can use it as a means to an end, I think. And then I think my final bit is to come back to you, Khanya, when you asked about young people on the African continent and how do we build activism there. And my dream in 10 or 20 or 30 years' time is not just in healthcare, but this last year working with young people, is that we are so powerful. This is the age where you're not conforming, where you're not just going to work for the sake of going to work, where you're creative, where you have this discussion, this panel discussion with, you know,
With these amazing balls.
You know, it's better than the United Nations. And that creativity has to be harnessed. It's so unfortunate that, and I'm going to touch on this experience when I was going to get the coffee, I was telling someone. I've got a PhD, I've proven myself, I've got this long list of awards for God knows why, but anyways. And someone found the need to call me young and inexperienced 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And it's a very senior, very respected person in society. And for me, it hurt. It really hurt. I mean, I went all the way to that PhD to say I'm an expert, you know. And I think in the African context, or throughout the world, we're still seen as young and inexperienced, right? And there's great power in the older people trying to nurture us, to mentor us, to help us find that purpose. That's where the activism will happen. But also living out those words of Kofi Annan, of Uncle Kathy, that young people are powerful and important.
Absolutely.
And putting value to that. We're not perfect, we're learning, but harness that power. And that's where the activism on this continent will lie.
Amen. Amen. I'm not going to say anything after that. Godfrey?
Yeah, I just think I'll take from Twitter warrior, being a Twitter or a keyboard warrior. I think for me, simply tweeting is no extraordinary feat. History is made by those who have the courage to act. And we need to learn from our grandfathers, our fathers, people who came before us. And they have demonstrated to us what activism is, how to change a country, how to change a constitution, how to change the narrative. And we should learn from that. So this current generation, for me, for us to change, to see tangible change in the country, we need to act it out. For example, employment, entrepreneurship. If we're saying we want to employ a lot of people because corporate South Africa, which is predominantly run by white people or a different race, they're not trying to hire us or they're not trying to upskill us. Let's do something. And that's something that I'm referring to is a simple thing, buy South African. We are very brand conscious as South Africans, and we look overseas for things that we'd like to have. But for me, I feel let's buy South African, let's support each other. If you want the economy, What you need to do is make sure that you build the economy yourself within the country, and that's
Absolutely.
how you get the economy of the country. So that is for me activism.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like you guys have really touched on the topic so greatly, and I love the diverse views as well. And what I'd just like to add, that there's also a deeper level to this, that, in closing off, that is, that, activism, I think, also starts at home. How do you deal with your racist dad? How do you deal with your homophobic mom? How do you deal with all these issues that we're talking about, which are perpetuated in the home? Because when we think about Adam Kotsavelis or #Adam, a lot of people were saying that, they feel that if he was basically reprimanded within his own circle. I also agree with that view, that he wouldn't have taken a whole video of himself basically comfortably, boastfully, marginalizing a whole group and labeling a whole group as well in such a derogatory way. So, to touch on what Guinea was saying, that activism is really a thing which you should live out. We can use social media because social media connects us, right? And social media is a powerful tool to make people aware of the issues that we are facing. But I think to take it to the next level, we really need to start at home with our own families and put ourselves out there and, risk being potentially thrown out, because some families are that hectic when it comes to your own activism. But the fight for human rights is an important thing. So, thank you guys for coming through. Such amazing young people. Like, I feel, I feel really great being around you guys. And I hope you guys will tune in. This is the first of the conversations that we'll be having with amazing young leaders and experts all across the country. And I hope you guys will tune in. And as our slogan says, we are igniting tomorrow's leaders.